Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Resume Whisperer and Corporate Culturist. My name is Joseph STETTER, and I'm your host. And again, I want to come back and circle. Today we have a phenomenal guest that's going to talk about how, having a career as a truck driver and then kind of learning about his health and well-being to being known as the Quantum Health Boss, a multifaceted professional with a rich background in both trucking industry and the holistic health realm. He, as a seasoned professional driver trainer, Gregory has successfully coached and mentored numerous individuals, helping them obtain their commercial truck driver's license. At one point, he also managed a team of 100 employees, showcasing his leadership and coaching skills. During the pandemic, Gregory's journey took a transformative turn. He became a holistic health practitioner, channeling his passion for teaching into the new realm, holistic health and wellness. And basically, he has a real passion and commitment to help people understand the root causes of their health issues. But also, as part of this conversation, I think this is what's so exciting. We're going to talk about the importance of health and well-being in the corporate structure, because as I've mentioned in many episodes previously, a lot of companies preach health and wellness or preach culture or, heart-centric leadership or employee engagement, yet turnover is costing over $1.4 trillion in North America. Greg brings a unique blend of experiences in professional driving and holistic health. And I'm sure throughout our talk today, he's also going to talk about some of the amazing equipment that he used that I've had the pleasure to use myself and learn a few things about my own health and well-being. Let's welcome Gregory Hall to the show.
Hey, Joseph, how are you doing, man?
Excellent. Thank you again for being a guest. So I want to start with, you've been a truck driver now for, 20 years roughly?
Probably about over 30 years.
Wow. I mean, you look like you're 25. So that says something about, right. But, so you've been a 29 and you train teams. So how do you get, first of all, training done as a trucking supervisor manager? Because obviously, it's, learn how to park, learn how to turn. But tell me a little bit about the process you use to kind of engage truck drivers and to really comprehend what you're saying.
Well, a little bit about my story. Like, I started off before I even had a license. At 15 years old, I was around commercial vehicles. Reason being, my friend's dad was into the commercial vehicles. And at the time, it was a easy way to make a living. And it was a good living at that. But when I turned 16, nobody really wanted to hire me because of the age and the insurance, but I actually kept on pressuring my friend's boss, and he hired me. But when you're getting into the industry, to get someone to teach you, to train you, it's very, very, very hard, especially back when I got into the industry. You really have to have 3 to 5 years experience. And when you're not training people to get that experience, how are you supposed to hire people competent people to do the job. And in the economy that I'm in Ontario, Canada, right now we have the most busiest construction industry in the whole of North America. We got more cranes than New York, California, all these places combined. It's the busiest in 37 years, construction. And there's no way that we can fill these positions with qualified people, not only truck drivers, but qualified people, because number one, certain jobs need skills and they need training. And then when you don't get the proper training, it's not really that great.
Absolutely. And, as someone who also lives in Ontario, Canada, I know that right now there's over 190 different condo projects happening in Greater Toronto area, which, speaks volume to how much construction we have. And you brought up a point about, trucking industry that, on the one hand, you need 5 years of experience, but on the other hand, you need to be trained. And I think that this is something that's transferable to many, many industries where there's this kind of expectation that for an entry-level job, you already know what you're doing, but on the other hand, the majority of companies I speak to and just general industry don't have a real mentorship program. The training and development or the training side of it is very generic, surface, and it's kind of like the top of it, like driving straight, anybody can do. Right, especially with trucks, the bigger the trucks are, it's understanding the amount of space you need to make a turn. It's the kind of tighter areas and so forth that I think. So how do you kind of? I mean, obviously you've had a long career in it, but in terms of training, how do you approach training to make sure that not only the people you're training are getting a lot of value, but they're engaged in it. They kind of, nodding their head, they're participating, they're excited about what they're learning.
Well, being a trainer is very, very, how can I put this? It's stressful, but I found a way to not make it seem stressful and be very laid back. But you have to kind of put yourself in that person's shoes. Like, you got to remember where you were when you started, right? How hungry are they? Are they as hungry as you? Because at the end of the day, let's keep it real. Somebody that's coming from an opportunity from another country and maybe wants to start off a career in trucking because he can't get into another field, he's going to be more eager to take the training and listen to the trainer and follow the system in order to get the job and keep the job. And then you have some other, persons that might come for training and they want the job because they just want to put food on their table. They don't really want to be a truck driver. Then you have some persons that their father was a truck driver. Their family have a career of truck drivers, and that's what they do. There's other people that want to start off a business like the owner-operator, and an owner-operator has to learn about how to, operate the vehicle and stuff before they can run their business. So I think the key thing is that you have to discern exactly what candidate do you have. Do you have a candidate that is going to be eager to take the training, either make some mistakes, but is going to be willing to learn? One of the ways that I do when I'm training to see if they're, basically into it, if they're going to make it, is you have to just leave them some breadcrumbs. Yes, you have to train them like I'm a parent. You have a little kid. If you teach the kid to walk or maybe go on the bicycle, and they don't have a hard time with the balance, right? It's going to take time after time after time after time of instruction until they get it. So when you're training someone for a new position, especially for a truck driver, you only have a certain amount of hours training with them. So you have to instill all of your knowledge into them at the same time, but you have to see if they're actually going to take the knowledge and start to use it on their own, meaning you can't be holding their hand.
Yeah, awesome. And I just want to kind of make one more tie-in. You mentioned that at a certain point in your career, you managed over 100 people, right? So what did you do to kind of create a culture of like family, camaraderie, because obviously as a manager, you do the scheduling. So I'm sure that there's a level of seniority gets the more complicated routes or the potentially longer routes and stuff like that. But what are the things that you embedded as part of, we're all working together here, and we're all in this together kind of thing?
Well, I had an opportunity of managing over 100 seniors. Most of them were over 65. So to get camaraderie, to get compliance, to get things done, you have to show them that you care. You have to bend a little bit. And sometimes when you bend a little bit, it comes back and bites you. You just have to make sure that you don't get canned because of it. But I was always the supervisor that always give the benefit of the doubt. But sometimes I did have some younger people in the crowd, and I used to work for a car rental agency, and I used to dispatch drivers to go pick up their rental cars. And one of the times, these two employees that I always basically loved and cared and showed them respect and bought them lunch and stuff like that, they just didn't show up. They sent them to a job, they didn't complete it, and they came back hours later. And when they came back, the only way to get back camaraderie is to lay down the law. You can be friends, you could be a good boss or whatever like that, but there's a time when you just have to say, you know what, you're not cutting it the way if you don't cut it off, you're just going to make the cancer spread.
Right. And interesting analogy, but look, at the end of the day, as a leader, you do have to make those tough decisions. That's why you get into the leadership position, right? But I think as long as you're transparent on why you did it and the fact that there's communication throughout, people appreciate that you made that decision for the better good. Now, you kind of gave an analogy of cancer. So tell me kind of a little bit about your journey to become the quantum boss. And explain to our listeners what that means in terms of holistic health and the services that you offer a little bit.
So for about 30 years, I've seen over 30 specialists. I was having problems working, and I almost hit one of my employees while I was driving a forklift and took myself off the job, and nobody could really help me. And at the end of the day, I wanted to put food on the table. Driving truck is, what I normally like to do to make ends meet. And I couldn't do that anymore. And I found out that there was help from my professor. And in 2 minutes, he changed my whole life. Why? Because I was able to start driving truck again. And then I realized that I could use my training towards helping other people see exactly what's going on inside their body to find the root cause so they continue to perform and be productive in the workforce. The biggest thing right now in the workforce is turnover, right? As you said, not a lot of it is because the people don't like the position. It could be because they're not taking care of their health and they can no longer keep their license or stay behind the wheel. It's very important to be healthy behind the wheel. So When I learned exactly what's going on inside my body using frequency, I became an energy practitioner with the World Organization of Natural Medicine. And I just feel like I want to give it back to other people so they can continue to do what they're doing, either it's trucking, business, whatever the case may be, that they fulfill their full potential.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you said that, because in part of my many careers, I worked for a college that offered, first year apprentice as a mechanic, dispatch, and working the service counter level 1 and 2, and also kind of a management course in that industry. And I remember I started getting a few people from WSIB, which is the Workplace Safety and Insurance Board, that were truck drivers that hurt their back or got injured or had health issues and couldn't be truck drivers. And when I kind of understood that, I went to their headquarters and I said, look, based on the fact that this person got injured on the job, right, you're going to have to pay for the rest of their life a salary of $100,000 to $150,000, or you can sign off and pay $36,000 where I'll train them on dispatch, I'll train them on the service counter level 1 and 2 and the management course. And within a year and a half, they're completely employable and they can go back into the workforce. And they went, wait. Did you just say we can pay $36,000 and get them off our books for the rest of their lives? And I was like, yeah. And when they understood what I said, they were like, anytime somebody says WSIB, you just simply sign them up for the full $36,000 package, no questions asked. We've approved it. And I was able, because of this, to take, before I came in, the college's sales was $530,000. In 1 month, I generated $860,000 to them because I'd closed 25 WSIB at $36,000 there, a few unemployment insurance, and then a few individuals that paid on their own to kind of do a career change. But this importance of health, I think, is something that, especially in North America, we've kind of grown up with Western medicine being the end all, the be all. And people that started dabbling with holistic, naturopathic, integrative medicine were kind of seen as woo-woo and, a lot of resistance. Unfortunately, my father passed away from cancer about 12 years ago. And I wish he was open to some of the things that I've learned about in the past 12 years after he passed, because like you, I experienced some of my own health issues. And I actually reached out to you because there were certain things I was like, okay, I'm trying to trace the source of it. Like, I know this is an issue, but in regular kind of, testing, nothing is really coming up as irregular or unusual. So what's happening? And, I bought some of your naturopathic and vegan kind of
the best supplements in the world.
Supplements, thank you. That's the word I was looking for, right? And they've definitely helped. So again, tell us a little bit about some of the tools that you use to help people understand their health and kind of where or why, and to the level of how quickly can people potentially see results if they start kind of making minor changes in their health.
Well, simply, I'm a quantum reflex analysis practitioner. What is that? I do organ and gland testing. I can use bidigital O-ring tests, which is a patented muscle test, which is applied kinesiology that can test your organs and glands to see if they test on or off. If they test on or off, we can know if there's a problem. If there's a problem, then we can find the root cause and give it holistic nutrition to heal it, or let it heal itself, because the body is to heal itself. Now, the things that I use, as I said, I use the bidigital O-ring test. Okay, I can do this in person. I can do it remotely. Also, I use frequency medicine, okay, based off of Albert Einstein. And I have an application that I use that I can help people in person and remotely. Basically, all it does is help you to see exactly what's going on inside the body, the root cause, so you can start to address it. Now, depending on how long you've been having things manifested and how eager you are to address it, because if you only address things on a one horizon, it's going to take a little bit slower. So, say for example, you had a bad cough going on for 5 years. Well, taking a supplement for a month, I mean, hopefully it goes away, but more than likely it might take 3 to 6 months on a good regimen to do it. But not only supplements alone, there's your emotions. Like, say for example, somebody kicked you in your nuts when you were younger. That emotion might be carrying to you when you're an older. So getting rid of the emotion. If you break your leg and you can't work, well, you might not be able to pay your bills. That's another emotion. So dealing with the emotions, finding what the root cause is, giving good nutrition. It's not only like, I don't really believe in diets. I just believe in if you're putting bad stuff in, just make sure you get it out.
Okay, and I just want to clarify to some of our listeners that when you say an app, it uses the voice to recognize kind of potential issues in your body through the frequencies or the waves of the voice. Okay, so once you started kind of getting into this, what are some of the things that for yourself and your own health have drastically improved because of this technology and the supplements and just kind of better understanding the root causes, the emotions, the stress, the things that most people kind of dismiss and kind of go, my job is stressful, so what, kind of thing.
Well, a little testimonial is a few months ago, my grandfather, my mom's dad, passed away. I had never met him in person in my life, never really knew him, but when I heard about his passing, I didn't hear about it right away. And I kind of blew it off like, I didn't know him, whatever. He didn't want to meet me. But when it was coming closer to the funeral and everything was coming down, like I had something come over me that I couldn't hardly think and work. It's like a migraine. And I use the inner voice module from my app. It's called AOScan. And it basically told me that I needed to deal with my grandfather's passing. And when I actually decided to deal with it, I definitely had the breakthrough that I needed after crying my tears away and having that breakthrough. So it's very important for me that we use our voice, because our voice is like a lie detector, and your voice has over 100,000 frequencies. That's how they can tell lies and stuff. But you can basically see what's the blockages is for you, so you can move on.
Interesting that you said that, because as a resume whisperer and corporate culturist, I pay very close attention to the physiology of how somebody answers a question, so I can tell whether or not they're lying and trying to give me the correct answer, or they're actually truly there. So, like, for example, one of my questions is, I'll ask, if I were to ask one of your close friends to describe you in 3 or 4 words as if they're setting you up on a date, how would they describe you? Now, what's interesting in that question is I shut up as soon as I ask the question. I've had people rationalize which friend will set them up. They were like, oh, like John thinks I'm crazy, so not John. But Mike will say, and then again, for example, like, I'm outgoing, I'm energetic, and I'm bubbly. I'm like, no, you're not, because if you were outgoing, energetic, and bubbly, your body language would reflect that. And so, when I came to you, I was having issues with kind of a lot of urination that just didn't stop. And you kind of helped me understand some of the things that are causing it. And again, when I started taking the supplements, I started noticing a big difference for it. So I'm a testimony to you as well in terms of things like that. Okay, so how do you, let's say now, kind of being both a truck driver, trainer, as well as a holistic practitioner, have you made any suggestions that you work to maybe implement health practices to kind of help build a better culture and help build better health and wellness for the trucking industry as a whole or for your employer?
My employer definitely no. Um, have I helped some of my fellow union brothers? Definitely. But what needs to change is not only my employer, it's all the employers that are out there. Even the government, right? It all starts from the top. Like in our jurisdiction in Ontario, we used to have a holistic hospital. Um, medical doctors, the Western doctors, before they had MRIs and all this stuff, they used to do muscle testing to see what illnesses were going on in the body and dosing, basically the same thing that I'm doing. There's other things that are out there, but the only thing I can say is that when you're not addressing the root cause of the problem, we're obviously going to keep on having these losses. We're going to have loss of hours, loss of man time, loss of productivity, right? And my goal really is that I want to fix all of that. I want to start to fix it in the family unit and then branch it out so it gets out into everything we're doing in business. Everything has to change. And if we're not actually taking care of ourselves, holistically, everything is really going to go bad. With the business, it's going to go bad with the health, and it's really simple things. I mean, me and you have talked for a long, long time, but if you're not checking your first morning urine pH, if you're not keeping up your minerals, everything else you're doing is just kind of like a waste of time.
Right. So generally speaking, and again, for people to get a hold of you, tell us a little bit about your website, and then tell us, how many sessions of, let's say, the voice scan or some of the other technologies that you use to help people understand their health, would you say would be a good starting point where you also can kind of do a comparative analysis of the before and after, or the kind of starting point and then another point after the initial session? How many times would you say to have a good understanding of and pinpoint something?
Well, I'll just be honest with you. I'm the practitioner that likes to give you all the tools that you need so I can go broke. So the application that I have, you can have. The reason why you can have it is more beneficial for you to have it 24/7. Say, for example, someone calls you with bad news or you're about to do a business deal. This application is for you. Why? Because it can set your mood, see where your mood is at, but we can also change our affirmations. We can make our affirmations more powerful so we actually will make the shift and do the things that we say that we're actually going to do. Like, how many times have we, made affirmations and wrote down things in our journal, but they actually haven't come true? So I can say, okay, come with 3 visits, I charge you this much, and we're going to figure out this. But something can happen later on. But yeah, if you go to my website, thequantumboss.com, and connect with me, I give you a free demonstration. Or there's a small fee, and you can check it out for yourself for 6 days. But basically, the shift can happen instantaneously. I had a lady in Australia, and for 3 years, she wasn't able to work. She went to a hospital with a stroke, and just listening to my frequency all of her stuff went away and she's be able to go back to her work and take care of her horses and her family. So, everybody's different. There's been groups, we do groups, basically healing groups, and one group lost 120 pounds. So just reach out to me, thequantumboss.com. Doesn't matter how small, how big. You don't really have to put anything down except for just come in, make sure that we can optimize you so, you feel your full potential and don't end up in that graveyard when you don't really have to.
Wow, and those are incredible stories, and we're kind of playing your website so that people can kind of get a taste and see some of the videos that you post and some of the content that you have there, and great examples. I want to tie this in back to you mentioned start with the family, but I guess, and this is more kind of your opinion in this. I mean, we have become a society that, a lot of processed food, a lot of kind of chemically modified food, and trying to be healthier, especially in this day and age, can be extremely expensive. So what would you like, and we can tie it into the corporate side as well, what would you like to see more of in terms of health and wellness on the business side? So that, because a lot of people, let's say, define themselves by their job. And so, as a resume whisperer, when someone's like, I've just been downsized or I've been fired from my job, that creates instantaneous stress, because the fear of, I won't be able to pay the bills, I won't be able to take care of my family, I won't be, kicks in. So again, you've seen both sides and you practice both sides. Tell me a little bit about how you would merge or combine that.
I think one simple thing that businesses could do is utilize their dead space in and around their buildings. I see a lot of manicured lawns, but we could actually be growing something on the lawns or in the cubicles or on the walls. They have these nice technology where you have these growing tower stations, and we could be growing good, healthy food for our clients, for our employees, for ourselves, and maybe giving back to the local food banks. And if you grow a lot, maybe sell some to offset some of your energy costs. There's definitely ideas like that I have.
Okay, excellent. And I think you're right. There is I will say that some industries, like let's say banking, are very regulated, and so if they start selling something, it could affect their licensing and regulations, kind of thing. So, but I agree with you that there's, unfortunately, the wrong, a lot of lip service, but not enough that's being done, right? And so companies are trying to be proactive by going, yeah, we pay for health and wellness, but do it on your own time. Don't do it on business time. Don't do that. And, even lunchtime, where you can go get a quick workout, go do, I remember I worked for Invesco, and they had, back then, it was like, Taibo was very, very popular. And now it was Tribo kind of thing that they did it because it was called Aim Trimark at that time. But they gave people that wanted to work out an extra 15 minutes to come back from lunch. And just that 15 minutes, again, it was more of the idea, because people were like, I want to kind of get back to work and not take advantage of it. But they knew that they could go do a workout, have time to do a quick rinse off, so, they're not sweating, smelling, come back. But what a difference it made to have that, and to know that, if you're working shifts, you can come in before your shift, do a workout, and then start your work, or after your shift, do that as part of mental health and well-being, which I think is lacking. So we got about 4 minutes. Tell us again a little bit about the Quantum Boss and kind of things that you're focused on to try and help people right now, as kind of there, but what conversations you're having with people, where can people get a hold of you again? And any final thoughts on health, on wellness, on corporate culture that you think?
Well, definitely, if you want to instill a good corporate culture and small to medium sized to big sized business, you really should start with health and wellness. And the way how I start with health and wellness is I got 10 quick questions that you can answer free of charge, and you can get a free tips to go along with it. Now, you really need to be talking with me. Why? Because I got the secrets that the one percenters are using. And the one percenters, the celebrities and the influential people, are all using Vastu and Feng Shui. And a lot of us really don't have the money to have these big Vastu consultations before we build houses. Why? Because we have to purchase pre-built houses. So making sure that you have balanced energy with your Vastu or Feng Shui is also important when it comes to your health. Having good emotional and mental health is absolutely vital to a good, healthy corporate culture, right? It's a holistic approach, right? I deal with faith, fitness, family, finance, and fun. So if you have any problems with that, it's going to have a problem with everything else. So let's put it all together at thequantumboss.com, and I give a 30-minute free consultation.
Awesome. Invaluable information. And again, I think that, I'm in the process of creating the first completely AI cultural transformation system that will incorporate wellness, that will incorporate what people care about in corporate engagements to reduce the stress, to minimize the turnover, to kind of have leadership really understand what are the driving factors for it. So I want to thank you again, Greg, for taking the time and sharing. And I hope our listeners reach out to you, because it can definitely help, at the bare minimum, get some insights that even if they're still, resistant to newer ways of doing things and alternative ways of doing things, they might have a better conversation with their Western medicine practitioner on possibly causes and kind of possible solutions for it. And again, keep in mind that for the listeners, I'm trying to connect the dots for you to show you that a corporate culture is more than just a company having a mantra, a company having a mission statement or a vision statement. Leadership is more than just saying you're going to do something. It's about empowering the people around you. And, I think that statistics in the United States say that close to 60% of the population is considered obese. And so that is something that if that alone changed, imagine the breakthroughs that companies can have, because their employees are more active, healthier, and more engaged. Again, if you like the shows, please like and subscribe. Ask us questions. We will respond to you. We want to create episodes that relate to you, that give you value and answer your questions. Thank you again for listening. My name is Joseph STETTER. I am the Resume Whisperer and Corporate Culturist. I hope you have a great evening, a beautiful morning, and an amazing afternoon. Thank you and good night. Good morning and good